All right, hello and welcome. My name is Jason Lynette. We're here in Alexandria, Virginia, and broadcasting live over to, correct me here, Vancouver Island. Correct, Ines?
Vancouver Island, yep. It's in Parksville.
Here with Ines Simpson, creator of the Simpson Protocol. Ines, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I'm looking forward to being there in June.
Absolutely. We've got the training coming up. It's going to be in June 2014. 2 exciting days of advanced hypnotic material. It's actually a class that we've hosted here at the office before, back in March 2013, yet the interest was so high we're doing it once more again. Ines, for those people who are not too familiar with this protocol, would you kind of detail just a little bit about your experience working with the Esdaile state and perhaps a little bit more about where it is now with your work?
Yeah. Well, what originally happened was I was working in somnambulism, and had learned that you couldn't do much in Esdaile except doing the physical stuff for people who were in pain and all that kind of thing. So, but being a very analytical person, I wanted to bypass my critical factor more. And I know we always had learned on some level that suggestion wasn't taken very well in Esdaile, but I have found out that it's actually, it gets taken well in Esdaile. It used to be that you had to have a higher motivation, but I think when you're in Esdaile, you're such in a sort of a euphoric place where you can't be bothered. You can hear and you can focus on it if you choose to, but you don't choose to. So the bypass of the critical factor is actually better, right? I mean, because the conscious mind isn't evaluating everything that's going on. So for me, I thought that's all the stuff that was going on in my head as I determined that this would be the best place for me to get somewhere. And I did that, and I found out I loved it. I loved the fact that I was there, and I could feel that, and I could actually let things happen, And mind you, getting to the Esdaile level is you have to allow that to happen in the first place. But I'm finding that 80%, maybe 90%, it depends. It goes, I couldn't tell you the exact number, but a very high percentage of my clients go into the Esdaile levels and beyond in the first session. So I don't have to get them to come back many times, all that stuff. There's always going to be that small percentage that doesn't have trust enough or is in that place where they'll go to somnambulism and no deeper. But we know how to work there, and that's okay. We just do what we do. But even the Simpson protocol can be done in somnambulism. I think it's not as valuable in a way that it actually takes a little longer and all those things because the conscious mind is more present and doing a little more interference in it. The Simpson protocol is wholly designed for the higher mind and your inner guidance to do the work for you, so the conscious mind is asked to totally step aside pretty much.
And just to briefly paraphrase the process, it's something that when I first learned it from you back in March last year, I've been consistently using it ever since then. And what I tend to share is on one level of things, it opens up an entirely brand new tool bag for the hypnotist. So even for the one who's already been doing it for quite some time, there's a lot of strength in it. The basic premise, and jump in here and correct me where appropriate, the basic premise is we put the entire body into Esdaile minus a hand.
Yes.
And we're using that hand for finger response signals to then do a lot of this deeper work, correct?
Yes. And once you have someone in a very deep level of Esdaile, because it is a small band of being, because once you get deeper than that, the body becomes deeper relaxed, and that catatonic place is no longer present. So once you get them into the Esdaile level, you know exactly where you are, you know that there's natural anesthesia there, all that thing without suggestion. So you can do those sort of things. In fact, I've started some new thing now, or I haven't started it. Birth is natural, but to do birthing, and we used to do it in somnambulism. What I do now is I put the body part in Esdaile, but the mind and the part that's over in their joy place, wherever that is, and so that they're in joy and the body is comfortable and totally in that Esdaile level.
So you've got some surprises in store for those people who
so we'll go through some of that and all those things, and it'll be fun. I think the whole thing about it is that it takes the hypnotist judgment out of it. I think that's the difference between this work and some other work, is because we have to analyze what to do next, right?
Mm-hmm.
In regular work, if you're doing some regression work or inner child work and all that kind of stuff. Whereas in this situation, it's actually the higher mind that's going to do the work, and you may ask, is that needed? But you're not going to be saying, well, this is what we have to do.
It also takes a lot of the analytical judgment out of the client's role as well. So, for example, if it's a session of age regression with a client, and either they're choosing not to be as vocal or they just don't have the ability to be as vocal, I've then transitioned over to this process with some clients and found the result of the client at the end of it actually giving the feedback that you promised we were going to hear.
Yeah.
I was releasing things I didn't know I was actually releasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very interesting. I had a client yesterday that came to the conclusion, all on her own, without me having to tell her, that she had to be in gratitude for the things that she'd had, even though they were now not serving her in this moment. That's huge, you know, for someone to come up by themselves. I mean, we're usually telling them all this prattling and all our patter and everything, telling them these things about forgiveness and all this, and they're actually coming up with it on their own.
That's odd, because I actually had a session this morning that was rather similar, and I'll hold back the details because I actually think, given the experience this morning, she may actually be there at the class coming up in June.
Wow.
But it was one of releasing a lot of guilt and grief for an event that even hasn't occurred yet.
Oh, yes.
All this expectation has been building up that, you know, to use our traditional models of age regression to cause informed child and bring it forward, for her, these events have not happened yet, so it's all this expectation. And for her, she was able to actually go there, connect with it, process the physical healing, the emotional healing, the spiritual healing, and begin to really reframe that situation. And I love the line of reassess, reevaluate, and shift back into the positive.
Yes. So the pattern changes as per the practitioner. Mm-hmm. Everybody says, oh, I need to follow the script or whatever, but it actually has to come from you. And it has to be said in the words that you say it in, because I can only give you so much direction, and all the direction is there that's needed of what you have. But anything you intuitively feel, anything you think of, you better ask, right? You don't have to wait for me to tell you to ask it, not you, because you've been doing hypnosis for a long time and you're doing that. But new people are very structured to script, right? And they need to understand that script is actually not that needed in this situation, but you do have to learn. I think that's why the process is easier for people to learn who've done hypnosis for more than a year or so, or at least have been practicing it all the time, because they get it, because it's stuff they've done and it's just simplified.
Although at the same time, the people who are brand new to hypnosis haven't had years of other folks out there telling them that because the Esdaile state, they become so euphoric, they're unresponsive. Therefore, it's no longer hypnosis.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. There's
a
lot of people don't believe there's such a thing as Esdaile and even ultra depth or ultra height or any of those things beyond somnambulism. But you and I both are using just about every state that we can come across. We know that there's a lot more our mind we haven't even started to dabble in what we're capable of. The capabilities I watch clients do, it's just like astounding, the things that happen. So
this class again is coming up. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be June 21st and 22nd here in Alexandria, Virginia. We're going to put up the titles here in a little bit. It's going to say deepsimpson.com. That's just, I had to. That's just going to redirect to the page with all the information for the upcoming course.
That's great. Well, I can't wait. You know why I love to come to Virginia and teach this class is because your students are so well trained that they get it really quickly and easily. I really enjoy it because the understanding is so quick, and I can go along really quickly and teach them a lot more stuff than I can do in some places.
It's also a group, what's great is that everybody's willing to jump, and I specifically love the second day of this class where you're working with a group of hypnotists, if you're still doing it the same way as before, working with a group of hypnotists and the one client, going into Esdaile, and then actually doing the work with several hypnotists serving as that one practitioner to really learn the process.
Yeah, it is, because the first time you do it by yourself, it's a lot to remember. So if if one person is the person going into hypnosis is, and there's 2 or 3 depending on the size of the class doing the rest of the stuff, they all have a job to do, and they all learn it because they're doing it together. So yeah, I like that system. It works really well.
And it's great that it's interactive, and the students that were here before have most of them that I've kept up with have told me that they've been actively using either this, or what I found really interesting about the course was, again, as you mentioned, you could use this protocol even in somnambulism.
Yes.
So to take this one little element out and stick it somewhere else in your process,
yes,
there's a lot of great benefits to be had there.
Yeah, you know, it's there. Everybody has their own style. It has to be come from them authentically, and understanding that Esdaile, what they can do there, and how we can easily interact with the subconscious on that level. And it's a very accurate, true level, because it's, you know, the information that they give you afterwards will tell you how authentic it is, because they've come up with all these things that we talk about, like how in the past would you have ever worked with something that happened in the future that needed to be allowed to be grieved and let go of. Imagine you've done it before it comes up.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's astounding, and I just love all this work. It's really, really fun.
And it's especially great to see something that so much of it just feels so new, so much of it feels so unique, that again we're able to fold this in as if it's just another language to use with our clients.
Yes.
We can just fold this in, and that was the amazing part for me, is to just added another vocabulary of techniques to use with my clients, whether it's this one that in absolutely no way, shape, and form has any interest in anything spiritual, whether it's this one that we need to go there entirely. And I'd share, as a person who really doesn't do a lot of work in that direction, this is now my go-to because it's so effective, it's so efficient, and it gets the job done. And the main focus is change rather than just the experience of going through it.
Yeah, for me, it like you say, it ranges from anyone. You can do clinical work with it very well. You can do esoteric work with it very well. It all depends totally on your client and how you would address it. But the protocol itself is very viable for just about anything.
Absolutely. Well, once again, those dates are going to be June 20th and 21st. That's going to be here in Alexandria, Virginia. Again, the shortened URL, Deep Simpson. You're laughing every time I say it. DeepSimpson.com. It was available. Why not? I'll give it.
I like it. I like it.
You need that as a license plate back up there in CAD. No. So we'll have that information here on the screen as well. Already, we've got a great group gathered together as well. Interactive study, learning some interesting techniques, even achieving it for yourself as part of the process. Ines, I look forward to seeing you again here soon.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right. Have a great week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.